Good evening, everyone. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, with the happy part of the evening, ladies. I, as temporary chairperson, nominate Jim Helms as chairperson for 2023. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Terry, can you turn the volume up on their mics?
Sure.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations, Jim. Take over the seat. Moving over. Okay.
Eleanor, let me know if that's okay.
Okay,
All right, so volume working good, Alan?
it's a little light.
Still a little light? What's your camera? What's your mic number, Jim?
This is mic 5.
That's all the way up.
All right, can you hear me now?
Can you lean into the mic, Jim? Or bring it
Would you
forward?
hold it like a rock star, Jim?
Right. How about that? Is that better?
That's better.
Okay. So we're gonna be going through all of our committees and appointees for everything. So bear with me as we go through our 3-page list of this. There'll be a lot of talking and a lot of voting. I, as chairperson, will nominate Eleanor Breslin as vice chair for the 2023 year. Do I have a second? I'll second. All in favor? For township manager, I will make a motion to reappoint Terry Lewis as our township manager and treasurer with authorization to pay employee benefits, invoices electronically, and report on disbursement lists. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Township solicitor. I will make a motion to reappoint Steve Harris as solicitor for the township with the policy that he regularly attends the township board of supervisors meeting and be on call to attend meetings at the request of the supervisors. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
I have a question on this.
Okay.
Jim, do you know when the last time the township did an RFP or RFQ for a solicitor?
It has been a while. I don't believe, maybe the first year, maybe 5 years ago. Maybe.
When Bob Sugarman left, what do you think?
After Bob Sugarman died.
So was that like
15 years?
50? Yeah, well, was it 2000 and?
So what, before I was supervisor?
So
Before I was a
15
supervisor.
years?
I don't think it was quite 15, but
It was before I was
maybe
supervisor
10?
also, and that was 9 years ago.
was it? Okay.
Yeah.
So-
Bob died.
So I'm of the opinion that an RFP and RFQ, they're important. It's an important process that involves inviting offers from other law firms or attorneys. So we can
Haven't we
evaluate-
gone through this before?
Wait, who's not
it
muted?
said Kim.
Oh, come on, now, this is. terrible.
Hold on a
You
second.
mute everybody else up.
I thought we did, but Jim and I were trying to get the speakers to work, so give me a second here. Well, can we ask too that everybody mute their, for now, and while I deal with this machine?
Yeah, it's capable. Play multiple roles.
Preferences. And I think we want everybody muted except for Eleanor.
Yeah, but we have to.
I think it's in down here. Participants maybe.
There usually is an option for all of that. Well, it
It's
seems
up here somewhere.
oh, muted. Eleanor is not muted.
Eleanor should be the only one that's not muted.
Yep, that looks like we're all right. Everybody else is muted but Eleanor.
Mhm.
So whatever you did worked.
We should be
Okay.
good. We good now?
Sure. Sorry. Oof. God.
Let's look.
Okay, you were, Jim, you're the chair, so you.
Yeah, okay, Elder, you were saying about RFQs for, solicitor.
Right, and it's just a process that the township, that the board, that we can use to make sure that we're getting the best value for the money that we spend on legal services. At some point, Steve may decide to retire. Many attorneys don't, so I'm not saying that you know that would be a certainty. But I think it's a good idea for the township to begin this process of soliciting RFPs, RFQs for legal services, so that we have an understanding of what our options are beyond Steve Harris. So I would ask and invite the support of my fellow board members to begin that process.
I guess in the context of, I don't, as long as, at least at this point in time, as long as Steve is willing and wants to continue to be the solicitor for Tinicum, I'm in favor of that. I also would not be opposed to, doing an RFP to, see what else is out there. And, in the case of Steve will retire or, something else.
I'm not planning to retire.
Okay.
No,
So,
no plans in the year to retire.
So if you want to do something for, just a fee schedule check, I'd be fine with that. But, on the context of, today voting when Steve was our solicitor, for this year.
Rich, are you open to putting out an RFP, RFQ?
Yep, in the future, but not for this evening's meeting, but yes, in the future. I would agree.
Okay, so that's something we could get moving on this month.
Yeah, well, you get moving on for this month, for next year, is what you're saying?
Moving on it for this month.
This month?
Wait, I thought everyone was muted.
We gotta either
Hold on.
mute this or have a phone.
I thought hold on. Eleanor, I might accidentally mute you. If I do, I'm gonna
That's
unmute,
fine.
but I'm gonna try to,
It's up there, it said they were muted.
yes, I know. So can Eleanor still hear us?
Eleanor, can you still hear us? Or can we still hear you? I guess is more the question.
No.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
now-
Now I think I have Eleanor, and I think I have just made it so no one can unmute. We'll see how that goes.
Okay. So, so then my understanding is the RFP, RFQ is something we could start this month, and gather information of alternatives, options, fee schedules to make sure that the township is getting the most advantageous legal representation available. Pricing and other factors all being considered.
Correct.
All right.
May I
Thank you.
ask a question? I know that this month, but I have an audit that I'm not near ready for, that I have to give everything to the auditor January 28th or 29th. Is it a problem if this goes till February?
So the next time we're gonna do this is the next reorganization meeting, so. we
Oh,
have-
no, she said this month.
To do what? So we're gonna do.
Collect
what?
the RFPs this month.
So we're not voting in here tonight?
No, I thought you already did vote in, but,
Yeah.
We didn't have a vote.
No.
oh, okay, I'm sorry.
But anyways, if we could do it, great. If not, it goes to February. Eleanor, are you okay with that being? that we're
That's
not-
fine. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, sorry. Thank you all.
And we can use, pending for this, correct?
We can try, sure.
Would be a great initial attempt to see what you get from that. Again, I use it for work a lot, for municipal stuff. It's a good way to do things. Makes it easier on you.
Thank you.
All right, so I'll go back to, the motion to reappoint Steve as solicitor for the township, with the policy that regularly attends the township board supervisor meeting and being called to attend meetings, requested supervisors for the calendar year 2023. Do I have a second?
I second.
Second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Rate of pay for contract services in Public Works Department. I'll make a motion to pay the sum of $25.65 per hour to a person providing contracted services during regular business hours, and a rate of $38.48 per hour for evenings, weekends, holidays, or after a work shift exceeding 8 hours. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Township Emergency Management, I'll make the motion to reappoint Bill Cahill as Emergency Management Coordinator. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Township Zoning Officer, I'll make a motion to appoint Keystone Municipal Services LLC as Township Zoning Officer and Win Associates as Assistant Zoning Officer, with the policy to be on call to attend meetings at the request of the supervisors. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Make a motion to confer powers and duties to administer and enforce the provisions of the zoning ordinance to the zoning officer. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Building inspector, I'll make a motion to appoint Keystone Municipal Services LLC as the building inspector and administer to the PA Uniform Construction Code and the International Construction Code of 2018. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? I'll make a motion to appoint Win Associates as Township Engineer with the policy to be on call to attend meetings at the request of the supervisors. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Floodplain Administrator. I'll make the motion to appoint Win Associates as the Floodplain Administrator with the policy to be on call to attend meetings at the request of the supervisors. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Consulting Township Plan, I will make a motion to reappoint Tom Kelso, Castle Valley Consultants Incorporated to provide professional civil, environmental, and planning services on an as requested basis by the township. Do I have a second? Second.
Second.
All in favor? Consulting Water Planner, I'll make a motion to reappoint Matt Mulhall of M2 Associates to provide professional, environmental, and planning services on an as requested basis by the township. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Township Fire Police, I will make a motion to reappoint members of the Del Val and Oxbow Volunteer Fire Companies as the Township Fire Police in accordance with the recommendations of Police Chief Nicole Madden, and the list is as follows. Jeff Lutz, Janet Snyder, Jeff Stevens, Corey Ingram, Vicki Black, William Black, Doug Burmeister, Don Cifelli, Harold Toss, Bob Milligan, Michael Mulkey, Diane Rose Brenner, Frank Snyder, Merlin Pinallo, and David Wolfen. Do I have a second? Second.
I'll
In
second.
favor?
Jim, I'm sorry, on that one, do we need to make a notation of the new name of the fire company?
That's a good point. Is that?
So I actually was in touch with Tom over the workers' comp situation. Can you hear me, Eleanor?
I can.
Okay, good. And right now, their workers' comp is insured under Ottsville still, so I think that maybe for this motion, Jim, maybe we add that name in there, Ottsville Fire Company, Palisades, like just put them both in there because there's some,
Ottsville and Del Val is what we.
right, but now you could also, and Palisades, yes, just add it in there, but leave Ottsville.
So I guess we'll rewind and go make a motion to reappoint the members of Del Val, Ottsville, and Palisades Regional Fire Companies as the Township Fire Police in accordance with the recommendations of Police Chief Nicole Madden, with the list that I said previously of all people's names. If I mispronounce someone's name, I'm sorry.
You made that motion.
Yep.
I second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
CDL Administrator, I'll make a motion to reappoint Police Chief Nicole Madden or her designee as CDL Administrator. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Treasurer's bond. I'll make a motion to set the treasurer's bond at $650,000 with Aetna Casualty Corporation and H.A. Thompson Company as broker. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Annual audit. I'll make a motion to appoint Hutchins, Gillum, and Free as PC auditors to examine the books and perform the audit of Tinicum Township for the fiscal year of 2022. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Township deposit, general fund, state fund, capital and equipment fund, and escrow fund, and park fund. I will make a motion to designate Uninvest Bank and Trust Penn Community Bank and the PA Local Government Investment Trust as the depositories for the funds of the township, except in those instances where the treasurer may obtain a better rate of interest. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Township Depository Open Space Fund. I'll make a motion to engage TD Bank and the PA Local Government Investment Trust as the depositories for the open space surplus funds of the township, except in those instances where the treasurer may obtain a better rate of interest. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Real estate tax resolution 010923.01. I will make a motion to approve resolution 010923-01 to determine the real estate tax millage for 2023, and that is unchanged from 2022. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Earned income tax. I'll make a motion to engage Keystone Collection Group to collect the earned income taxes for Tinicum Township pursuant to Act 32 Bucks County tax collections. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Admissions tax officer. I'll make the motion to authorize township manager to collect the admissions tax for the township. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Bucks County Tax Collection Committee, I'll make a motion to appoint Elmer as the delegate and Britt as the alternative to the Bucks County Tax Collection Committee. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Vacancy board active 1069. I think we're going to table this one to a future meeting date. Mileage reimbursement. Motion to reimburse authorized personnel for mileage at 62.5 cents per mile or at the rate adjusted by the IRS for use of personal vehicles on township business. Do I have a second?
A second.
All in favor? The 2023 fee schedule, resolution 010923.02. I'll make the motion to approve the 2023 fee schedule, resolution 010923.02. Do I have a
I'll
second?
second.
All in favor? Zoning hearing board. I'll make a motion to reappoint Eric Hitchens, or Hendricks, till 12/31/25. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
And you gotta just talk to them.
So our current zoning hearing board members are Eric Hendricks, which was up this year, Mike Zavoda, 12/31/26, Tom Casola, 12/31/23, and Joy Von Group as alternate up in 12/31/24. Zoning hearing board solicitor, I'll make a motion to reappoint Grim, Peter, and Thatcher, with Mary Everly having the primary responsibilities for representing the zoning hearing board. Do I have a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Can I ask a question, Steve? I thought the zoning hearing board picks the solicitor.
They do pick their own solicitor.
And then they make that recommendation to us, and then we are the ones that appoint that person?
They appoint. Subsequently, your agreement to pay them.
Oh, okay.
So we don't need to do this every year?
It's to pay them.
Yeah, I mean, normally what would happen at the reorganizational meeting of the zoning hearing board, they would appoint Mary, Bryn being Thatcher, with Mary being the primary responsibility of the fee of blank. And then they would ask you to approve that. That's the technical.
So I didn't need to do this every year?
We got that motion to.
No, they haven't reorganized yet.
So I guess we'll table that until we get the request.
Exactly.
All right. Just on that, and we'll table the zoning hearing board solicitor until we have a request from the zoning hearing board. Planning Commission, 4-year term, 7 members. I'll make a motion to reappoint David Abbas to the Planning Commission for a 4-year term expiring 12/31/26. Do I have a second?
I'll
Second.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Just a note, current Planning Commission members are John Cole, up 12/31/23, Terry Johnston, 12/31/24, Carl Ruthart, 12/31/24, Tim Cashman, 12/31/24, John Clement, 12/31/25, and Neil Sullivan, 12/31/23. Building Code Board of Appeals, 1-year term, 3 members. I'll make a motion to reappoint John Billingham, Chris Weaver, and John Quimby to the Building Code Board of Appeals for a 1-year term expiring 12/31/23. Do I have a second?
The second is Joe Billingham, right?
Yes,
Oh, Joe, sorry. Excuse me. Joe Billingham. You second, all in favor?
Aye.
Historical Commission, 3-year term, 7 members. I'll make a motion to reappoint Michael Kaufman for a 3-year term expiring 12/31/25. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Current members are Janine Black, 12/31/24, Michael Kaufman, 12/31/25, and Ethan Perry, 12/31/23, and Stephen Victor, 12/31/25. Joint Bridgeton, Nixon, Tinicum, Groundwater Management Committee, 1-year term, 2 members. I'll make a motion to appoint Riley Murphy and Terry McFarland to the Joint Bridgeton, Nixon, Tinicum Groundwater Committee Management Committee for a 1-year term expiring 12/31/23. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Land Press Committee, 1-year term, 5 to 7 members. I will make a motion to appoint, or reappoint Rob Galdo, Mary Pucci, John Cole, John Quimby, and Luke Sorensen to the Land Preservation Committee for a 1-year term expiring 12/31/23. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Do we have a discussion on this or not?
Good.
There was a couple of things that were brought to the Land Preservation Committee that they needed action on. We're not talking about any particular property, but we're talking about how we wanted the properties to be reviewed going forward. Terry, you had sent a letter, I think, about a little over a year ago.
yes.
Jim had asked about a year ago. We still haven't had any answers on that. And just looking at some of the proposals that we received, there needs to be some discussion about this, of what is expected and what the town is looking forward to. I have nothing, I'm not objecting to anything, but my problem is that we need to meet with them. The board needs to meet with them, and everybody get on the same page with what it is we expect. So I'd like to say, can we table this or extend it for another month, but at least meet with them, but before the end of this month?
Okay, I guess for committees that end in 1-year terms, what would be the proper way to continue to have them represent the township, but
So you've either got to reappoint them, then you can reappoint them for a limited term.
okay.
Rather than a 1-year term, a 1-month term.
Well,
2-month
Well,
term.
let me put it to you this
So
way.
you could table the whole thing, and if they're not meeting, and, just table, you can do that.
Okay, so if we table it, but we meet them before the end of the month, then if something comes up and they need to work on it, they can work on it?
No. Their term expired.
Okay, so maybe a better way to do it is to reappoint, but then, get a meeting set up before February, or sometime in the first half of February.
I think that,
Does that seem reasonable to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, then you already have a motion, second, so now you can just do it.
okay, all in favor? Aye. Just a note, there are 2 vacancies currently. So if anyone's interested, please contact Terry. The Lower Delaware Wild and Scenic River Management Council, this is a 1-year term. I'll make a motion to reappoint Marion Kide as the township representative to the Lower Delaware Wild and Scenic River Management Council for a 1-year term expiring 12/31/23. Do I have a second? There are no seconds?
Well, I mean, I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Did you get muted again?
Yeah.
How could that happen? We didn't even touch it.
Is Zelma still here?
She's here, but somehow the,
She can't hear?
I had to mute myself on my
Oh,
end and then I
okay.
wasn't
Oh.
able to undo it.
I can hear.
I'm back, thanks.
I thought it was me. Thank you for saying that.
Okay, on to Environmental Advisory Ad Hoc Committee. I'll make a motion to reappoint Eleanor Breslin, Marion Tide, Sasha Hall, Cynthia Gaspari, Kim Rosamilia, Paula Fazone, Riley Murphy for a one-year term expiring 12/31/23. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
So on this one, I wasn't actually a member of the EAC, so I don't need to be reappointed. So we can remove my name from that list.
We
Okay.
all can attend them, you know, as a member of the board,
Okay.
or as a member of the.
Well,
public.
the work done by the microplastics is also getting put under the EAC's umbrella. So I believe we're waiting for test results. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So anyway, Eleanor was on microplastics, and so I just made sure, but I understand that she doesn't need to be listed on the EAC.
So the question here is just, everybody except Eleanor is the one who will reappoint, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so that will leave two vacancies.
Mhm.
Interested people, please reach out.
Got a motion, do I have a second? So.
I'll second.
Communications Newsletter Ad Hoc Committee, I'll make a motion to reappoint Anita Nolan, Chris Becker, Patricia Leonhardt, Andre Becker, and Ray Albergati for a one-year term expiring 12/31/23. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Park and Recreation Board, 5-year term, 7 members. I'll make a motion to reappoint Terry Johnson for a 5-year term ending 12/31/27, and Phil Samanowski for the balance of his term ending 12/31/24 to the Park and Rec Board. Nope, that would be it. The ending of his term 12/31/24.
Well, okay, let me explain that. So Bill had to leave for a bit, so he resigned.
Yep.
But then he came back. So as not to confuse everybody, that's why he's reappointed just to finish his term, and
Yep,
that's why
correct.
the
So
years are
he's
odd there.
being appointed just to 12/31/24.
Right, to finish his term. Mhm.
Uh,
And by the way, and he's a valuable member, so it's a really good thing that he wants to be reappointed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Current Park and Recreation Board members are Terry Johnson, 27 now, Michelle Brundall to 23, Michael Bernstein to 27, Philip Kane to 27, and now Philip Samanowski to 24. Attendance policy, it should be, is this something we do a motion on, or is this just a statement?
It's a statement,
Well, I think it should be a motion.
you think?
Yeah, it's the policy, it's a motion adopting the policy of the board.
Okay, I will make a motion, adopting the attendance policy that it, so it could be the policy of the Board of Supervisors, that a member of any township committee or board who fails to attend or participate via teleconference 50% of the meetings during the year will be removed from the committee or board. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Conclusion. Okay, I guess, again, this is a policy.
That's a policy, that doesn't need to be a motion.
Okay, so this is a statement: when a formal action is recorded in the minutes, the vote in all cases shall be considered unanimous unless a dissenting vote is cast. When the dissenting vote is cast, an entire vote shall be recorded in full. I will make a motion to close organization meeting at 8:00 p.m. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? That concludes the reorg meeting. Now we will call to order our regular meeting for business today, January 9th. Just as a note, we had executive session just prior to the reorg meeting to discuss potential litigation. Emergency services.
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
The Emergency Services Management Notification and Resource Manual promulgation for 2023 will be tabulated and tabled until complete 2023 contact information and updates from various entities such as fire chiefs, county EMAs, et cetera, have been received and incorporated. And it looks like we don't have anyone here from emergency services to do it.
No, we don't have a report this meeting.
Old business, codification.
So what we're looking for here is the planning commission did a lot of work, and then, as you will all recall, this went to the Bucks County Planning Commission. There were a few things missing that they caught and some language that needed to be added in there. And I brought that back, but I spoke to the secretary of the planning commission. And what we're just looking for, you've seen, everyone, the board has reviewed the draft red line version of this. Planning commission did an amazing job on this, but I'm just looking for your authorization for the planning commission secretary to add those sections in that I'm listing, that either Jim can read or I can, and then authorize us to move forward with that once he has the language added to it and get that completely finalized and advertised.
So you need a motion.
Need
Yes.
a motion to, yeah, okay. So
Yeah.
so I will make a motion to adjust the codification by the following, which is delete 709A1 and 709A2 and renumber the sum paragraphs accordingly. Two, delete paragraph 708B1B. Three, add the Tower Height Airport Traditional Village Development Overlay Districts to section 301. And the fourth adjustment is to include ordinances 255 and 256 in the codified ordinances. And this is all captured in the the Planning Commission's review memorandum dated August 3rd, 2022. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And thank you, planning, tell the planning commission, thank you.
I can't believe it's all that. Headquarters Road Bridge update. Eleanor, I don't know if you wanted to go through. We have a little bit of an update, I guess.
So the update is simply on the temporary bridge research that has been conducted by the township engineer. The inquiry was with one particular manufacturer of temporary structures, and it was. I don't think the determination has been finalized, but I think based on the information that we've learned from this particular vendor is that they wouldn't be the source for a temporary structure based on the fact that they generally make temporary bridges for highway loads, which is way oversized for what is needed across the Tinicum Creek, and also way oversized for what could be accommodated by the kind of the geographical layout of the approach and the approach to cross. So I believe that's the update, is that this particular vendor wouldn't be our source, but I don't think, again, that that conclusion has been drawn definitively.
Yep, that's our, we're making progress trying to collect information. So we're, continuing to push forward. We have our engineer investigating and trying to come up with, something that we could try to move forward with. So we'll continue to have these updates as we get more information on each one. Trenton Land Development and Conditional Use, I guess we have the preliminary land development and conditional use application. The applicant has extended the deadline, and it is currently expected that the Planning Commission will again review at their meeting of January 24th, and then this will come to the board for their review on February 21st. On to new business. I guess Tinicum Township, we would like to welcome State Senator Chair Coleman, who represents our area.
And he will be opening shortly. He'll be opening an office in Quakertown, but he has not as of yet. And that will be his most local office. So they will reach out when they have that permanent address, and we'll put it on the web, and I'll put it on an agenda for announcement.
Uber project. We'd like to thank Diane and David Allison. Diane and David shared not only their extensive knowledge of native birds with our EAC, but also have 10 boxes already installed, Bluebird bird boxes installed at the community park in Oxbow. From what we understood, this prime real estate is already being inspected by the Bluebirds, and we'll be posting photos of the project on our website shortly. And Diane will be giving a presentation on February 1st at 7:30 p.m. here at the Township Building for anyone who is interested. We would also like to thank the Boy Scout Troop number 27 and their troop leader, Brian Rixinger, for helping with the construction of these birdhouses, and to thank the EAC for brainstorming and putting all this together and making it work. If you're interested in joining this group and helping work for and with our environment and our community, please contact us, specifically Terry at the Township. Moving on, 2023 Monarch Pledge. I know we did this last year.
Yes, and the question is there, it will be, I think last year Rich signed it, the chairman gets to sign it, but the question is to the board, would you like to take the Monarch Pledge again? There's some actions on there that we would have to do and report on, like just as we did last year. But we're already doing quite a bit with the pollination and the plantings and the native plant swamps. And so if you'd like to take the Monarch Pledge again, just.
Forgive me, Tony, because you just tell us briefly what is the pledge.
Well, the pledge is that you're going to do 3 things to help the monarch butterflies, which are endangered. I have it in your packet. I don't know if you remember it from last year.
Thank you.
But the township signs up to do well, a minimum of 3 things, maybe more if they can, to help this species by trying to educate people, limiting pesticides, by planting monarch-friendly habitat, by doing education mostly it is an educational thing. I mean, there's some things that we'll be doing, but we're really reaching out to the community to see what the community wants to join us in doing. And I think that Eleanor and Cindy can really speak to this probably better than I can. But I think the whole point of it is we're going to pledge to do our best to help this species here in Tinicum.
So it's mostly an educational to get the.
Well, it's
message out.
educational, yes, but we're also doing some planning with a native milkweed
No, what-
in our park, and possibly in our other park if we can get to that. But we take a pledge that we're going to do at least 3 positive things. I think last year we did more than 3. The native plant swap was such a success. I'm sure we'd be having that again anyway. And so
Is that part of the Monarch Pledge?
that actually was an item that we were able to check off because by sharing native plants with each other, we're promoting that instead of useless flowers, that type of thing. So the mowing, yes, we changed the mowing schedule so that the babies have a chance to eat before they.
Yep.
Mhm.
Thank you.
So I guess I do need a motion for that. And then if I get that motion, I'll come back with a proclamation for you next month.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that the township sign Monarch Pledge for 2023.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The EAC discussion. Terry?
So the EAC had a few things that I thought we were going to talk about next month, except for well, there's 2 things that I'd like to bring up tonight and see if we can move forward on them. So one of the things, as you know, they look for your approval for a few things. And one of the things that in combination with the Monarch pledges, they have an opportunity to apply for free milkweed plugs for the milkweed restoration. And so the committee is happy to plant them. It's an 18-acre planting area, 30 to 40 plants per acre. The shipping is going to be somewhere between $40 and $80. And so I'd like the board's blessing for the township to pick that up, even though a member of the EAC generously offered. I don't know, if you would want to pick that up. This includes some roadside and trails, and it would be late April to early May shipping. We have some volunteers already to plant from the EAC. And of course, there's Diane again and a Kathy Knight. Alyssa Murphy has volunteered. Sasha, and I'm sure more people from the E EAC.
Yeah, I'd make the motion to, allow the AC to proceed with that and the township to, cover shipping costs up to $80
Right.
for.
And And I probably should mention, there's even still a little bit of money that, from the rain barrel. So, okay, so that's number one.
Well, I guess,
Hold on.
made that motion.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next.
The other thing, you already announced about the Bluebird program here. Let's see, we don't have an answer quite yet, but we're really hopeful on our wetland planting. And, one of the things the EAC also mentioned is they'd like your consideration to become a regular committee rather than an ad hoc.
And the reason?
And Cindy's here, so she can speak to that probably better than myself.
Cindy Gasperry.
No, put that- just put that on.
Yeah, don't forget
I have
to-
to, yeah.
Cindy Gasperry, I'm a resident and a member of the EAC. And we had a motion and we voted at our meeting on January 3rd or 4th, to request that the board recognize us as a standing committee. We were first formed last year as an ad hoc committee to proceed with the rain barrel workshop, which we did successfully. And we went above and beyond those duties. So we actually have been functioning as a standing committee. If you look at the true definition of ad hoc. We're contacted by the public. They recognize us as a committee that's advising the township with questions and concerns already. So we would just like that standing as volunteers, just like all the other standing committees in the township.
But as an ad hoc committee, if the resident or anyone is calling you about certain things, they're asking you advice on something, or they're asking you if you want to take on a project? Is that, what is it specifically?
Typically, it's concerns and complaints.
Okay, so it's not much different than what we do.
Exactly.
Right.
So we're trying to help you all out in that way. And we just feel that we should be recognized as a standing committee.
But they don't recognize the advice or the answers you give them? They feel as though you're not official? Is that the feeling?
We don't feel that you do.
Well, let me tell you one problem I have, one of the problems we had with the EAC in prior years was that they went over and above what they were really charged people to do. So then we had some confusion where the PC would look at things, then they had to go to the EAC. They would hold that up a little bit because they had to review it for environmental reasons, and I'm not sure what those environmental reasons were. And then there was dysfunction within the group itself. When it's an ad hoc committee like this, we're very lenient. I think we have been. We came to us with the rain barrel, which of course we thought was terrific. I think you did the Bluebird on your own, and that's certainly good fun, but I think nothing with that. And we're so thrilled with it. But I'm concerned about when it takes on another level where it becomes a committee that has to review things that I'm going to say the PC does or the other committees do before they can make some decisions. They'd have to look at it through the EAC lens. And I think the PC probably does a better job.
I guess, Steve, this might be a bit of a question for you. When we develop a committee and you make a committee in any form or shape, when we vote, and that's done through resolution, I'm assuming, and that resolution then.
No, I think, the EAC, if you make it a standing committee, it has to be by ordinance.
Okay, so the ordinance itself would, could be drafted in such a way to give a description of exactly what that committee is tasked to be doing, and, necessarily not, what's their roles and responsibilities.
That can be placed in an ordinance.
Okay, so,
Could I just respond to Richard's comments? I find it really unfair that you're projecting a past committee onto a newly formed committee that's been functioning very well and working really hard and hasn't meddled in anything that the PC is doing. Certainly hasn't taken any privileges that we're not entitled to. So I don't even understand that.
I don't necessarily think it's a shot at the current committee, if I could.
It's not.
Yeah, I think it's just from the board's perspective, trying to make sure that we go about doing this the right way, so we don't end up in the same spot that we were in the past, that's all. So, not necessarily you, so that's why I asked the question to Steve. This is obviously something that we can't go through today because we'd have to come up with a description, but
Right.
I'd be open to discussing that and trying to come up with a definition for the group that we'd all be in favor of and seeing if we could come up with something.
We can come up with some definitions that give some protection.
Yeah.
We don't have some.
It gives because I'm aware of what happened in the past, and we want to make sure that we have, basically what you guys are doing now is sort of what we need, continue, community
We've been
outreach.
working with Parks and Rec. I don't think we've stepped on anybody's toes
No.
there or gone out of bounds.
Absolutely not. No, absolutely not.
Right. And Jim, I mean, the EAC has, I mean, I think we can all agree they've been working beautifully together. It's a dynamic group, it's an active group. And I think giving it the shape that the board is comfortable with in the form of an ordinance and making them a standing committee is appropriate.
Yeah, I think we could work, I'd be in favor of working towards that. I don't see any issue with that. Well, obviously. has to go
Yeah,
through
we
the
can't just
process.
make a motion tonight, but we can draft an
We
ordinance and.
understand that. And I am here to represent the whole committee. I'm not speaking on my own behalf. I'm speaking for the committee.
Yeah, no, it's great to see, Parks and Rec and you guys in the park actually being used and, people
One of
coming
the
in and-
discussions is a Earth Day fair to really get some of the community out and some of the local businesses as well.
Yeah,
And really big awareness about records that we live on.
it's been great to see the township being involved in community-driven things. So, yeah, I think we, try to draft something and, for the next meeting or the following, we can try to have something that we can start discussing.
Great. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Cindy.
On to the next item, planning commission recommendations for the amendment of the zoning ordinance uses P9 and new 700.1, which would be events and uses not specified.
So, you had the planning commission's draft
Yep.
minutes in your packets and you've seen it. What we're looking for, and then you can talk to, I think John's here and he worked really hard on it, so he can probably speak to it. What I'm looking for, is your authorization to have, after John speaks, if he's good with it, to, send this to Steve to have a look at, and then to, if you like the gist of the amendment, send it to Steve to look at, and then authorize us to advertise it, the amendments. John, I'm gonna let you speak to it because you worked so hard on it.
Oh, where John goes, wait, when we have to send it to the Bucks County? Oh, yeah.
That's right. Yes, that's part of it. I just want to start the process and I apologize for that.
Okay, just a quick clarification. How do you have it in here? The events and uses not specified are two separate
Mhm.
amendments to the zoning ordinance. One has to deal with events centers in particular, event centers in particular, and the other has to deal with, that's kind of an umbrella amendment that allows for somebody who comes in here with something that the zoning officer looks at and says, well, I have no idea where to put this, that it then goes to the planning commission to try to review it, as opposed to the zoning officer placing it perhaps in an inappropriate use, like what has happened already in this town. That wasn't inappropriate, but we didn't have a use for it. So the 700.1 is intended to be an umbrella for anything that's not covered in our ordinance book for uses. And the event center, and the G9 use are two other separate things. So actually, there's three things in front of you. I have clean copies and I got them here, and
Thank you, John.
there's been some confusion because our minutes from our December 13th meeting are just getting done now, the draft, because we had to continue that meeting till January 3rd with the Trenton review. And at the end of that meeting, we then cleared up some business of getting minutes ratified and so forth to be sent on to the board. So they're coming to you, but up until then, I now have these copies here that I looked at the minutes, the draft that I have a copy of that match what's in our draft. I do not have, however, a copy of the 700.1 amendment. That's something that Carl Ruthart worked on and brought up and can prepare us. I don't have that with me tonight.
So if the board approves of this, Steve, so can I just, do I ask for authorization to send it to the BCPC?
Well, this ordinance, with all due respect, there's a lot more to it than what these sections are. And I mean mechanical. You can't just say in the ordinance, this applies in these districts. You have to amend the districts as well to make them permitted uses within the districts. So the bones are here, but the document, the ordinance that needs to be prepared is going to have to revise several different sections in order to accommodate this, the concept here. So that it need, and I'm not, this isn't a criticism of what the ordinance is attempting to accomplish, but it is just saying that it is not as simple as just saying, okay, we've got this new district. It's we've got to make the change, we've got to make the changes throughout the ordinance, you know, in the district section, in the event section, in various, the buffer. You can't say such a buffer that's appropriate. It's got to be specific. So it's got to say it's a class 1 buffer. You know, these uses need a class 1 buffer. These uses need a class 2 buffer. So all I'm saying is, and unfortunately, I was away last week. I did get a chance to look at this stuff there, but mechanically it's a little tougher. So
It's you first?
Yeah, I'd like to work on it, work with John, get it in
Take the idea.
and put it in a format that can be reviewed, the planning commission, then get back to the township planning commission, take a look at it, make sure they're comfortable, and then but it's not ready.
It's completely understood. I mean, we understand that in the planning commission that it needed to get to this step, and this is the first step of getting you the, so that this is what our idea what the ordinance would be. We also recognize that there are other parts of the ordinance that need to be changed, namely the graph that has the uses and the zones that allow certain uses. We understand all that, but we need to take some initial steps. Now, the 700.1 thing, I agree with you. I looked at some of that and it was a little vague as to what we needed to have in there. But again, we're looking for guidance in it now to get it to a point where it comes back to us, where we review it and you know, then pass it on again for the file. You know, this is just the first step. We're all in agreement with that.
So I guess now what I'm really looking for is just authorization for Steve to work with John if you like the concept of what was presented.
I'll make a motion to get these amendments, from the PCO to Steve to review and adjust so that the PC can have a more complete idea to review.
More correct.
Right.
More
Complete, I think complete is the magic word here.
Yeah.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Next item up, discussion of the PC's request for secretary. I guess Terry or
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll just lead off that I think it was last February, the board met with the planning commission at one of their regularly scheduled meetings. And during that discussion, the planning commission, I believe unanimously, I think all the members were asking for this, that they have someone come in and take the minutes for their meetings. Because right now a current member of the PC serves as secretary, and he is, he takes minutes, he takes notes while the meeting is happening and while he's also trying to participate as a member of the PC. I think, well, as a result of that request, the board put on the website a volunteer opportunity for someone to serve as the secretary for the planning commission, and that's been up for the past 10 months or so, with no bites. So the PC has been working really hard in 2022. A number of properties have been through development, and that seems to be continuing into the early part of 23. So just raising this request from many months ago for consideration.
Are these minutes recorded by any chance, John?
Yes.
You see that? So the secretary, let's assume there's somebody that comes there, and once they get familiar with the process.
I have to come up and sign anyway. Yeah, the current secretary records them on his phone, and then he transcribes, I guess, off of that, but he also does take notes. I don't know why he does both, I probably.
Because you have to.
Yeah. Yeah, it is very distracting. I did it for a year.
So if it's recorded and we have somebody that comes in and does the secretarial work, as you put it, well, requesting, after maybe the third or fourth time that they're there witnessing this, couldn't that person then take the recorded parts and put that into minutes? Remember, they're not a PC member, so they're not voting. All they're doing is taking the notes or verbatim of what's said and transcribing it into minutes that you can then look at and either approve or disagree.
Yes, because that's what we do.
I know that. That's why I'm asking.
If there's somebody who's able to do it, sure. I mean, who's
Recording.
I know, but it's just sort of figuring what you want to put in the minutes. See, our minutes are recorded, but it's not a verbatim transaction, what went on in our meetings. It's kind of it's a very good, concise.
But isn't that the view, isn't that the purpose? So that person, whoever that happens to be, takes that recording, puts the minutes in as they interpreted it from that recording, and then it goes to the PC for review.
Right.
And you have comments, corrections, or agree to it, or whatever it happens to be. Wouldn't that be the process?
I would think so, yes. That would be the problem.
So
Basically, what we do now, only one of the members is doing it.
yeah, I know that. But so then my point is that after a learning curve, some period of a learning curve, that person doesn't necessarily have to be there at every meeting. They just have to get that recording so that they could transcribe whatever into minutes that you can then, your whole committee can review.
That's something we probably should bring up as a group and discuss as a group if they'd be comfortable with that, as opposed to me saying, oh, yeah, I'm okay with it.
I'm not asking you personally,
I know.
I'm saying, is that the thought that the.
It should be able to work, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Again, it's listening to the recording is like being there, I would suppose.
Yeah.
For me, it would be like, I did that with one of your meetings, I got the recording of it, listened to it, it was like being here.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, John. So what is it that we?
I guess we. With that idea, I think asking the PC to, review that idea at the next meeting and see what their thoughts are on that, if that's something we want.
Does that seem reasonable?
Oh, yeah.
And then get back to us and we'll take some action on it.
Yeah, I don't want 6 angry men after me. So I don't want to make a decision, like them all.
No, but you
all
bring it
figure
back
out.
to them.
Yeah.
And there's one additional item I'd like to bring up under new business. There is one additional matter I'd like to bring up under new business. I received on Friday an email from the court-appointed mediator in the Delaware Riverkeeper Network's suit against the National Park Service, inviting me to attend a Zoom meeting regarding the status of matters pertaining to the headquarters road bridge. And my recommendation is that we submit prepare a letter stating the township's position and circulating to the Board of Supervisors for review and comment, and get it to the mediator in time for Friday morning's meeting. It seems to me the township's not a party to that litigation, so I don't think it makes sense for the township to participate in person. But I do think it would be beneficial to the mediator and the mediation process for the township to have, for the mediator to have a written statement of the township position.
Okay. I'll make the motion to get a letter drafted, before Friday's meeting.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Yeah, I'll try to get that to you tomorrow, so that everybody will have a chance to look at it and weigh in on it, and so that we can get it done. And I'll also advise the mediator that that's what we're doing. Okay.
All right, on regular business, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of December 20th, 2022 meeting as written. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Treasurer's report and budget recap. The treasurer's report and budget recap for December 2022 will be available at the January 17th, 2023. Payroll, I will make a motion to accept the payroll report for the period ending December 21st, 2022 in the amount of $36,268.09.
Second.
All in favor? We have disbursements here. We'll take a moment to take a look at them if anyone needs to. Look through, I didn't have any questions.
I don't have any questions.
I'll make a motion to approve the disbursement list as written.
I'll second.
All in favor? Zoning hearing schedule, we have none scheduled at this time. And with that, on to public comment. Words.
Thank you, Cindy. Started right, somehow it went wrong.
Yeah, you're on.
A few things to add. One is, where is the status of the archiving of these minutes? Almost 6 months now.
Well, we are archiving them and we're hoping, I don't want to make any promises, but we've been working really hard with the with G2, our computer people. We think we're going to be able to have this up on YouTube. I don't want to promise you because this has been a challenge, but we're trying to do that.
So you're thinking a month off?
I am hoping that I will be able to tell people that they can go onto YouTube and watch this very meeting. I'm hoping.
Be able to go back to the first meeting?
I don't know. I'm going to see how it works going forward first, and then we'll see about catching up. And some of those first recordings are pretty bad, but if you need a particular meeting, I've been trying to save stuff, so just reach out to me if you're looking for a specific meeting.
Nothing specific.
Okay,
To-
okay.
And we're on that, oh my God, a text message, a whole group of people who are watching the Zooming and getting the text messages from them as they're Zooming, but they're not able to comment themselves. Can we use some of the rescue monies or something to get Terry some support to be able to teach, to train, to be able to use the Zooming, because there are people out there who, someone's in the Zoom actually wrote to me and said, Jim, if you could speak closer to the microphone, they're not able to hear it. But so we don't need to go through difficulties at the outset of the meeting or what we did tonight, so we can have clean, so you're not aggravated by what's going on at the different as well. Whatever it takes, let's get some training for you so that you're able to do this properly and efficiently, effectively as we go through future Zoom meetings.
Could I respond to that?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it's not so much that we're not willing to get her the training. It's just that her job right now limits her to how much training she can do. I think in the beginning, when we set this whole thing up, she made it pretty clear to everybody that she can't handle this and do her regular duties. She's also not only the town manager, but she's also the financial person. That takes an awful lot of time.
Well, I think you make a good point, Richard.
So that's something that we're looking into, that, quite frankly, we're all a little disappointed it's taking this long. But we're getting to that point, we're gonna be able to have something that's gonna work efficiently and be able to archive things so that we're gonna be able to go back and get them.
I would even suggest, because there are many community members that are using the Zoom, the efficacy has really been demonstrated by people who are putting in. What about thinking about allocating $50 of rescue money to someone who can come in besides Terry doing this project, who is trained to be able to do this effectively, who can do it, and really work with the community and respecting the community that way would be just a little bit.
I was just gonna say, just as a note, that there are townships that do use that, and that is slightly more than,
It's more like $700.
it's a substantial cost to get, if you wanna call IT
Not for
professional.
just training.
Okay, then
Constantly operating.
I didn't be creative. What about reaching out to Palisade School District in terms of having an intern coming from the tech department? Be a great internship to be able to learn to do this.
I don't believe that there's enough bright people in this community that there's gotta be somebody that be willing to do this, you know, maybe once or twice for a while or 3 times.
I think one of our challenges is the equipment setup. Once we get the equipment set up and we have it mounted permanently, that's usually what we struggle with, is the connection.
The wires and the connections, yes.
So if once we get that,
And then
But it's been going on for a long time. And tonight, I have people who are.
I'm happy to give this up. I want you to know that. I'm very happy because I have people coming in and telling us they can't participate in a meeting and take notes and record it. And I'm trying to do this on top of it. So I'm not taking this as criticism and I'm happy to retire from Zoom. Yes.
I'm sure you are.
Yes.
I'm saying this in a supportive way.
Thank you.
To be able to do this.
So part of the problem too was, Rick, with what we thought we were going to get, and then there was supply chain shortages.
Mhm.
So this isn't the equipment. You'd still probably be waiting for us to have Zoom. So this isn't the equipment that was ordered, but we couldn't get that. And the community was getting to the point where they were thinking we just didn't want to do it. So we ended up having to buy the next best thing, which has become, it's made more complicated. So a lot of it was supply chain shortage. I mean, this did cost less than what we wanted, but what we originally ordered was going to be much simpler.
But there are alternatives for going after whether we're the school district or we're approaching the scouts, someone can come in, or you're talking about a tech hot committee that returning.
Put it in the AC.
Mhm.
Whatever. While I'm Zooming, I've gotten 4 different phone calls from different people in the community who would like to be here. Okay, one was a doctor, a very prominent doctor up in Black Eddy, who is a resident who gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning. She has a very thriving business in Lower Manhattan. She actually buses up in the morning, 4 days a week. She doesn't get back home until 6:30, 7 o'clock in the evening. She's in bed by 10 in order to get herself back at work. She wanted to be here this evening, but she can't because she has an important issue on recycling. And all I could do for her is say, contact the township. If she wants to be here. Another woman called me about a River Road issue, River Road issues, who is elderly and cannot come here. Another person called me about the tax collecting situation. An elderly gentleman who's almost 90 years old, who said, I'm not the person, but you need to contact the supervisors, but he can't come in the evening. He physically cannot come in the evening. A 4th person called me, about another one about River Road issue coming in the role. I know that 2 of you, or the 3 of you, did not want to make this process interactive. And I ask you to seriously reconsider, because there are people in the community who want to be a part of this township process, but who physically cannot come here. As you're looking at Zooming, I ask you to reconsider somehow giving the access to the larger community to not only watch. Because this doctor tonight, all she can do is watch. She can't talk to you. She can't ask questions of you in that kind of fashion. But to give greater access to people in the community to be part of this democratic process that we have here in the township.
Could I respond to that?
Sure.
And one of the problems, I think in the beginning, I think I know I mentioned it, because I was going to the Solberry meeting, to see how that whole process worked. That was interactive. But there were rules involved in that, and that's where it gave me a little bit of a problem. You had a number of minutes to speak only, that's it, you were cut off after that. There was no interaction other than they make a statement, and the board could respond if they wanted to, or didn't respond if they didn't want to. Okay, so that wasn't really fluid, and it was a limited time that they can speak. And that was troubling. So if we were to consider that, all of that has to be looked at and worked out so that we give people the opportunity to say what's on their mind and have a give and take with the board. But I'm not sure I know we're there yet.
Well, Rich, let me respond to that. As you know, I'm a board member for Bucks County Community College. We have a board meeting every month. It's a large institution open to the public for the entire county. Our process is that there is a limited period of time for people to comment. If they should decide to comment, they can pose a question, and the questions are responded to, if there are questions, at the end of the meeting by the board president. It very rarely happens, quite frankly, but there is access to a larger public to be able to be interactive with our board at that point. It's a very controlled process. Not open for anyone to call in, they pose questions, they go into chat, and they're responded to at the end of the meeting. It's going to be a very, very simple process, but it does give the community the ability to be interactive with its board members. The other issue, which I'm going to bring up, and you know I've been an advocate for the community on these really important issues, the LPAC community, with what's happening at the bridge at the Golden Pheasant, it is the perfect opportunity to get people involved. They're already calling us. We have our ad hoc little LPAC community. And I ask you once again to please reconsider this as we go into this new year. In addition to our Zooming, with making it interactive, and thirdly, with working sessions. I know once again that either through board vote or through discussion, Jim and Richard, you've all been against these three issues. I know that the Bucks County Herald is on Zooming tonight. They're listening to this discussion. You know, Jim, I know you're not running for re-election next year. It's been public now. So we'll be looking for a new candidate, and I'm not talking about an individual party. I'm not talking Democratic, independent, or whatever it's going to be. I'm saying whoever it is for the community. Okay, these will become campaign issues. We're going to make them campaign issues. Good. And I ask you to please, for the respect of the community, we want to be involved through LPAC, a large constituency of people out there. We want to be involved with Zooming, making it interactive. And lastly, is involving us more through working sessions. Eleanor last year tried to get them moving. They were then denied. They were terminated, but they're important forums for us to be able to come and interact with our board members, or you have open discussion about issues.
Don't we have that here?
For the working sessions, a very different opportunity, because one, that I just talked to a lot of people who are coming.
No. When we had the working session, I think it was the people that are in the. And they came. Don't you have that same opportunity here tonight?
It's a very different forum.
Why?
When you're having to come in. First, there are no decisions made. It's simply discussion. It's really positive discussion.
Discussions here, we don't necessarily have to make a decision on what you just asked. You're having a discussion, you're mentioning things to us. Isn't that happening tonight?
It's more, I believe it's a more informal session where you are supervisors, but you're not making formal decisions. People don't need to come up to a microphone. You're able to discuss with your elected officials. It's a very different informal kind of a process. And I learned that firsthand from the session that we had, when we talked about rescue funds and how they were going to be used. It was a good exchange of information. We thought we were going to have additional meetings, but they were all terminated at that point. I asked you, I'm not saying tonight to make a decision, to please reconsider that as we go into the new year. These are three important issues. Reconsider them as we go forward. Thank you and have a good new year. Thanks for being important.
Any additional comments?
I just wanted to raise a concern that was brought to me as an EAC member. I was told that, when Waste Management dropped Tinicum recently in Upper Black Eddy area, that those customers were told the reason they are not servicing us any longer is because of the township.
Seems to us.
We've never had any issue with them.
Well, and that didn't sound right to me, so I just wanted to
Let me say
present that because it was brought to me and I wanted to follow.
this to you, okay, so when I lived on Hollow One Road, we had Jericho that used to come from. I think at that time, they were the only ones that were coming in Hollow, and that was Johnson. When I moved to Stagecoach, Jericho didn't want to come down Stagecoach, even though there were people that were being serviced by Jericho. That's what they told me. So I went to Waste Management. And it worked good for about a month. And then they didn't show up. And then they say, oh, well, we had manpower issue. So we're gonna come the next week. Well, now the garbage goes up. And then if they didn't show up that following week, now what do we do? So that was a problem. They have a problem here in town, and I think it's got to do more with the amount of business they have in Tinicum. Waste Management doesn't have a big clientele, if you will. It's mostly, Jericho, I think, has the biggest, and I think Whitetail or something like that.
Yes,
in Holland- in
I've-
Holland
yeah.
has some presence here. But I'll say this to you, I think it is a problem, and I think it's gonna get worse as time goes on.
Mhm.
I had mentioned some time ago that I think we should consider, the board should consider, having bids from anybody that wants to do garbage collection in our township and getting one firm that's responsible for picking up trash and recycling in our township. And that maybe it should be part of the tax situation, that everybody pays for that, regardless of whether you're gonna put your garbage out or you're not gonna put your garbage out, because we have people that still burn their garbage out here. And we have people that don't do recycling. But if it's part of your real estate tax, I'm using that as an example, I don't know if that's gonna be the end result. But if it's part of your real estate tax, then why wouldn't you wanna put your garbage out there? You're paying anyway. And why wouldn't you wanna recycle your materials? Because you're paying, right? So I think that might be a solution in the future that would solve a couple of things. Number one, that we'd have a reliable service, because they would have to bid on being the only service in our township is number one. It could mean reduced costs, right? Because now they're gonna get the whole township, not just 50% of it or 70% of it or something like that. So we have been briefly thinking about it and talking about it, but that's just my ideas.
Great. One of the issues we do have with Delgarico's is that, although we do separate into two bins, they state on their bill that they send us that it's commingled. And so when they come and collect, everything goes into one truck.
That's the beauty of this. If we could send out a proposal, an RFP, if you will, that says, this is what we expect and this is how it has to happen. It may not be a recycling truck, only for recycling and trash for household trash. That could be all part of the RFP that we could get. And I think that would be a benefit to the township. It certainly would do wonders for recycling. And there's some other thoughts I have, which I'm not ready to talk about tonight, but anyway.
Not to get out of our lane, but would that be something the EAC would be looking at to help you all out?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. As a matter of fact, I have
We
some
talk about
ideas.
it at every meeting.
I have some ideas about it and.
Great.
Bring it up. And they put them right before it up to me. Then also make sure to confirm that the recycling is going to a recycling facility.
Right.
It's actually recycling the stuff that they're picking up. That could be a little bit more challenging.
Which is, I think it's a challenge statewide, worldwide.
Yeah, but but at least
Yeah.
we're making a start. We're trying to do something. That's
Great.
something.
Right, and bringing some clarity to the situation for the residents. Another thing that I came across today, the DEP has rolled out a new grant opportunity for county governments, not for local, to fund. I think it's like a recycling coordinator, or it's a position to look at the recycling situation by county, and put measures into place that make recycling successful for the communities within each county. I would suggest that the township write a letter to the commissioners encouraging them to apply for this grant, because it might give us access to solutions that aren't readily on the table.
Wonderful. I think so. I think that's great.
And as an EAC committee, we could get in touch with the other EACs that are in the area, and maybe we can write to the commissioners as well.
Jointly. That's fabulous, Cindy.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Go ahead, Jimmy.
I have to remember them.
Yeah,
It was
super
on
the first
I have
one.
it.
Habits,
On the same track as the trash mom, just from a perspective also.
John, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Can you?
You have to
speak?
get a little bit closer, be a rock star. There you go.
Anyway, we had discussed it and the same kind of a thing is like, how dependable are the people that you hire to do it, going individually? And not only that, but we have 3 sets of trucks that go through the township now on 3 separate days, as opposed to having 1 set of trucks going through one day, which of course gives less wear and tear on the road. It's another consideration that we only have 1 contract carrier. And I don't know about making it taxed, but that's the devil in the details kind of a thing, because it could be like the cable, some people have it, some people don't.
Well, the problem is,
Mhm.
you don't make it mandatory in the United
Mhm.
States.
Yeah.
The people that aren't recycling, and the people that are burning their equipment, shouldn't do that. I don't think it's good from an environmental standpoint, right? We're supposedly environmentally sensitive.
I don't disagree with it. I think that it'd be better if
So
it
what
was.
would be the objection? Just an example, right now, what is the average, monthly fee? For a 3 period?
I'm 165.
Yeah. They come all the way up your driveway? I have to drive mine to the road.
So somewhere around $115.
It's gotta be worse than mine, right?
For 3 months.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's
Yeah, it would actually probably be less for people who actually pay for the service, because the cost would be shared by those who don't, so, and do burn and
Hmm?
file the environment, so. No, I mean, I think it's an idea that's time's probably come at this point.
Well, that's,
also, there was also, I don't know how that solves the burning issue, but there was also some communities, a number of years ago, that the trash haulers, issued stickers. You know what I mean? You bought the stickers,
Yeah.
and then the stickers, you just apply them to the bear, and that's how they, it's a price per thing. I don't know what it was, maybe $1, maybe $2. I don't know. But that doesn't solve the burning issue, because if I don't buy the sticker, because I don't continue burning.
Yeah.
the trash.
Yeah, no, generally,
I think it's gotta be mandatory.
made people pay for it, they would use it. Yeah, I mean, there's people probably drag their trash to their workplaces and such, that they'll throw it in the dumpster, they'll be upset about it, but that's
Maybe throw it in the woods.
kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I'm just saying, it's just in that vein, it's probably not a bad thing.
Is that one?
okay. Oh.
We're gonna, recess for, we're
Right.
gonna have to,
Yes, and so I'm gonna have to end this meeting because when I
we're just.
pause this meeting,
Yeah, it automatically.
it automatically shuts it off while we talk.
We're going to recess
So-
for continued executive. For
Right.
those watching on Zoom, the meeting will end now.
The public portion will end now. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, John, Tom, Cindy.
My phone for some reason.
You what?
I couldn't get it to do it on my phone.